The last night of Jeffrey Epstein. What really happened? In one of the most secure prisons in America, the cameras stopped working. The guards weren't watching. And one of the most high-profile inmates in the world was left completely alone. What happened inside that cell would spark global outrage, endless theories, and one chilling question that still hasn't been answered. Was it a failure or something far more deliberate? Part 1. The man everyone was watching. By the time Jeffrey Epstein was placed inside the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York, the world was already watching his every move. He wasn't just another inmate. He was a man connected to power, wealth, and some of the most influential names on the planet. His arrest had already sent shockwaves across the globe. And with his upcoming trial, many believed he held secrets that could expose people no one expected. Inside those walls, Epstein wasn't just a prisoner. He was a liability. Part 2. The day before. The final 24 hours of Epstein's life didn't begin with chaos. They began like any other day, controlled, routine, predictable. But underneath that routine, something wasn't right. Reports later suggested that Epstein had been taken off suicide watch just days before, a decision that would later raise serious questions. Why remove such a high-risk inmate from constant supervision? Why relax the very safeguards designed to prevent exactly what would happen next? Throughout the day, Epstein was said to be quieter than usual, observant, withdrawn. Whether it was fear, paranoia, or something else entirely, no one can say for certain. But what is clear is that something had shifted. Part 3. When the system started breaking. As the evening approached, the structure of the prison began to unravel in ways that still don't make sense. The unit Epstein was housed in was supposed to be one of the most secure areas in the facility. Inmates like him are monitored constantly, checked on regularly, never left unattended for long. But that night, those rules didn't seem to apply. 2 guards assigned to monitor the unit reportedly failed to perform their scheduled checks. Not once, but for hours. At the same time, surveillance cameras in the area experienced issues. Cameras, in a federal prison, monitoring one of the most high-profile inmates in the world, suddenly weren't capturing what they were supposed to. And that's where the story begins to fracture. Because in a system built on layers of security, multiple failures don't just happen at the same time. Part 4. The hours no one can explain. As the night deepened, something even more unsettling took hold. Silence. Not the normal quiet of a prison settling in, but something heavier, something unusual. No movement, no interruptions, no oversight. For a man who was supposed to be under constant watch, Epstein was now alone, completely alone. And in those hours, the timeline becomes unclear. Conflicting reports, missing details, gaps that have never been fully explained. What exactly happened inside that cell during that window of time is something no one outside those walls has ever truly seen. Part 5. The discovery. By the time morning arrived, the silence had already said too much. Epstein was found unresponsive in his cell. The official ruling would later state that he died by suicide. But almost immediately, the questions began. How does something like this happen in one of the most secure facilities in the country? How do multiple safeguards fail at the exact same time? Why were there no consistent recordings? Why were procedures not followed? And why did so many details seem incomplete? Part 6. The world reacts. Within hours, the news spread across the globe, and with it came disbelief. This wasn't just another case. This was a man many believed held answers to questions far bigger than himself. Social media exploded. News outlets scrambled. Experts weighed in. Some pointed to negligence, others to systemic failure. And many believed there was something more to the story, something hidden beneath layers of silence and unanswered questions. Part 7. The questions that remain. Even after investigations, reports, and official conclusions, The doubts never went away. Why were the guards not monitoring the unit? Why were the cameras malfunctioning? Why was Epstein removed from suicide watch? And how did all of these failures happen on the same night? These aren't just small details. They are the very things meant to prevent a moment like this. And yet, they all failed. Together. Conclusion. A story without an end. The death of Jeffrey Epstein wasn't just the end of a life. It was the beginning of a mystery. A moment that left behind more questions than answers. A story that even years later still doesn't feel complete. Because when a system designed to prevent failure fails in every possible way, people don't just move on. They start asking why. And sometimes, the most unsettling part of a story isn't what we know. It's what we never will. And somewhere between what was reported and what actually happened, the truth is still sitting in the dark.